All right, I'm here today with Christy Harden, who is the author of the book we're going to talk about, I Heart Raw, as well as the author of Guided by Your Own Stars, both published by Maurice Bassett. Christy is a certified integrated nutrition coach through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and a raw food consultant. And Christy, I'm very excited to talk to you about the book, which I found very inspiring. I am not a raw vegan person. I think that I eat relatively healthy, but I am not a strict vegetarian or anything like that. So I did find a lot of useful stuff in it about plant-based diet and health and all that sort of thing. And I thought it would be best if we could just start off with you telling me a little bit about exactly what you mean by raw food in the context of this book.
Yeah, I love it. And you're not alone. Most people are not raw vegans. So that's why I wrote the book. Yeah, so I think most people start kind of on a continuum when they get to raw food. And entering that continuum, usually they'll start with vegetarian, generally. And vegetarian just means that you don't eat meat. And then a lot of people move to vegan. And that means that you don't eat or use animal products. And then raw vegan is vegan with the additional aspect that you're not heating anything over generally 115 to 118 degrees. And the reason for that is because you want to get all those amazing intact enzymes, that life force of the plant that you're eating that's so healing. And you don't want to degrade the nutrients that you're taking in. So just by cooking, a lot of people don't know, you see listed the protein on a package of chicken, for instance, is a certain amount, but just by cooking it, you're decreasing that by half. So really, one of the great things about raw vegan food is that you're not degrading any of that. You're getting all of it just straight right into your body, all that healing goodness. And a lot of people find that, I did myself for sure, find that to be a really clarifying way to eat on a lot of levels. So it clears out your physical system. And by doing that, it kind of clears you out to really feel your emotions more deeply, feel your intuition coming up, and really connect back in with yourself and to hear what your soul is telling you. And maybe that sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I found that to be absolutely true and vital. And it leads, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but it just leads to connecting in with everything that is needed to make the planet a better place. And I will go more into that maybe in a little
bit. The fact that the book has a lot of different angles to it, that it's not a recipe book, it's not a how to set up your kitchen book. It's got all sorts of elements like that, plus more. It's got a sort of a manifesto. So maybe just tell us a little bit more, since you went down that alley, what is the manifesto? What is your vision for the book?
That's a great question. I really wanted to hit everything that you need to actually do a raw food diet, for sure, and do it easily, all the how of it. But to me, the reason you would do the diet and make this what to a lot of people feels like an extreme change in how they're eating, I wanted to really get into depth about the why you would do it and why I did it. So I have my story in there of how I came to raw food, and then really, really in depth go into all of those reasons. And those include not only personal health, which is the place a lot of people start with raw food. If you're looking at a specific health problem, for example, and trying to solve that, and you've maybe gone through everything that is kind of well known out there, and you're looking for other avenues to heal. So that's generally why people find raw food in the first place. So it's about personal healing, but then it also ends up being about, like I was mentioning, connection with yourself, reconnection with nature, and you start to really think about, what is this diet doing? How am I impacting everything by what I'm choosing to purchase and then eat is how is it impacting me physically? How is it impacting the people around me? How is it impacting our species, other species, ecosystems, the environment, the planet? So, and by being kind of cleared out, those things just sort of naturally come up. And eating raw vegan is such an amazing way to be in alignment in all of those areas and have it be a win personally, a win for animals, a win for the planet and all the ecosystems, and a win spiritually. So I wanted all of that to be in the book also. So I really deeply go into that. We look at all of those aspects, what eating a standard American diet does to your body, what does it do to animals and ecosystems in the planet. So I looked at it on a systemic level because that ended up being the focus for me after I'd eaten raw vegan for quite a while and healed my personal issues I was having as far as physical pain and that kind of thing. What became really important to me was the bigger picture and how we fit into life rather than being just eating in a way that, you know, it's just good for me and my body. Like that only goes so far. And I wanted to know that I was eating in a way that was connecting me with nature, that was a natural way, that was helping everybody. And so I go into really a lot of the aspects of the why. And like you said, as much of the how, really, this book is pretty much everything I know about raw food. And I've been doing this for 11 years and I've been doing it successfully. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm a person with really practical knowledge of how to do this and do it well. And I've been super healthy and healed all of my issues that I've had, and they were considerable. I was a pretty sick kid and sick adult, actually, and on quite a few medications, and wanted to heal all of that, and had come to the end of what Western medicine could do for me and was told that in those words. And so, yeah, I started looking other places. So I really wanted to document my journey because I thought it might help other people. And because this is the easiest change I made, and also the one that had the most impact in my health. And then it ended up not just being my health, it ended up what's good for my health and what's good for your health is actually good for the planet. So I really just wanted to share all that because it all came together for me in this, like, oh my gosh, this is such a big deal. It's such a big deal what we choose to eat, and it impacts everybody and everything. And I have everything I know about that in this book.
Into the nuts and bolts of going raw. So how to set up your kitchen and things like that. Can you give us just an idea of how labor intensive is it? Do you have to spend $10,000 and buy a new kitchen and change everything that you do, or is it, relatively straightforward? Can a single person do this? Can a family do this? Those kinds of questions.
I think that's such a good question, and that's one that I get all the time. And one of the reasons I wrote the book, so I could hand people the book and say, this is how you do it. So, because I think anybody can do this diet. So I was actually really scared to start it, which was another reason I wrote this book, because I wanted to have somewhere where people could go and not reinvent the wheel. Because it did take some doing for me to figure it out from nothing. And I didn't know anyone else who was raw vegan myself. I did a lot of YouTubing and finding people who were doing it and doing it successfully. And I found a coach and worked with her. So I wanted to really put that all in a book so that you could actually just pick up my book and go do it. You don't have to go through all of that. But it really is a simple way of eating. It's really using whole natural ingredients, organic ingredients. It's fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, leaves and spices too. And then it's just really kind of learning how to prepare things in a new way. If you think of
Mhm.
it as like French cooking is its own cuisine and has its own techniques, raw food is that way too. So there is a learning curve, but it is very simple to do. The raw fooder will have pretty much the same equipment across raw food people. It's pretty simple. Uh,
Mhm.
just like the person who's eating standard American diet will have a stove, a toaster, a coffee maker, all of those general things that everyone has, and that is part of our narrative of what food looks like in our culture. You have to kind of undo that. But the raw food kitchen, instead of those things, will have a juicer, Vitamix, or a high-speed blender, a Cuisinart, a food processor, and a dehydrator, and maybe some other little food prep devices. But you're just going to replace what the standard American diet requires to prep with those things. And it is, can be an initial investment. I recommend, if you want to just kind of try it out and borrow things from people that or buy them used. It doesn't have to be a massive investment. I really looked at it as this is going to be how I eat for the rest of my life. So I went ahead and invested in those things, and I expect them really to last a lifetime. But once you have the equipment, and then the ingredients are a little bit different too. There are going to be some ingredients that, just like the equipment, that are standard for raw food, that are different from standard American diet. But once you kind of get those two things in place, it's really just like anybody can follow a recipe. I am not a chef. I make food really simply, and it has to be simple and quick for me, or I don't make it with a 2-year-old in the house. The way I like to do it this is what I provide in the book, which is a food structure. And that's basically, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I give you a structure of how to do that. And it's very simple. And then what you do is you just rotate ingredients in and out so that you're always getting different nutrients. You're not overloading on one nutrient, and you're really getting a varied diet to stay healthy. And that's worked so well for me. And it's been very simple. And in that way, you can also eat seasonally, which our bodies evolved to do. So that's another nice aspect. And if you're making your own, for instance, seeds, nuts and seeds, sprouting and dehydrating your own nuts and seeds, or just soaking and sprouting, it's 1/10 of the price
Mhm.
that you would be paying with a packaged product in the store. So there are ways to do it really simply, easily, and cheaply. There is kind of that initial investment. It's not huge though. And if you think about it as an investment in your health, it's going to cut a lot of costs off of your health
Yeah, I
care.
got the feeling as I was reading this and being inspired that it's quite doable. It's just a shift, and you could of course do it in stages as well. I imagine where you're not saying, okay, from this day forth, no meat. This, no, you just sort of play with it a little bit and sort of get into a groove that it doesn't have to be a.
Yeah, I find that people I've worked with are, one of two personality styles. You either want to jump in and do it all at once, which was me, and I'm kind of like that with everything in my life, or they're the people that want to wade in and get the toes wet and then, kind of acclimate. And both ways totally work. I started out thinking I was going to wade in, and did a few days and was like, oh no, I'm doing this, and just went all in and never looked back. So.
You talk about how you kind of monitored your health as you were going through this transition process, uh, which seems like a wise thing to do. Do you want to share just a little bit about that, about what your concerns were when you started, and if anything came to pass, or what your experience was?
Coming from where I am now, it's like, oh my gosh, raw food is so easy. It's such an obvious answer. But I have to remind myself that it wasn't obvious. We're so enculturated into this other narrative of what food is that It was very scary for me to start that. So I went with having my doctor, who was supportive. She didn't understand what I was doing, but she said, go ahead and try it, and we'll just keep testing you. So I did blood tests. I had blood tests um, pretty often, and I think it was every 6 months for a while. And the results just kept getting better and better and better. And I remember her saying to me, I don't know what you're doing exactly, but you are one of the healthiest patients I see. I had no more back pain at all. After a year of raw vegan, I transitioned off of all of my medications that I had been on for years and years. I always think this is funny. I saw that pamphlet at the chiropractor's office. It was for a presentation by Tanya Zavasta, who is like an OG of raw food. She's amazing. And she gave a little presentation of sitting there with my son. She looks like she's 30. And she announces that I think was 60 something. And I was like, that's why I did it. Like,
That's a good endorsement.
I was like, I want to look like that when I'm 60. But also there was, this hope that it would also take my pain away, and I would, want to live again. And so it did. And one of the most amazing things about raw food is that it's completely anti-inflammatory. You're not putting anything into your body that's causing your body to have these fires of inflammation all over the place. And that's one of the things with the standard American diet, is that our bodies we're putting all this stuff in there that doesn't make sense to it. They're food products. There are things that our bodies don't even recognize as food sometimes. So they're storing them in brain tissue and fat tissue that our bodies can't deal with what we're eating in a lot of instances. And so our bodies we're spending all of our time, our body, instead of living at a level of optimum health, they're putting out fires all the time and never getting to experience what true health is like. I think most people don't ever know what they could actually feel like. And that is so sad to me, that people will live and die without knowing what it's like to feel the way our bodies are designed to feel, and experience them working the way they were actually designed to work.
But I just wanted to highlight that you also talk about, going out to dinner with friends, how to maintain the diet, or how to go easy on yourself, how to go to restaurants, how to travel. So there's a lot of practical stuff in the book. But one of the things that also touched me a lot was this idea of connection to yourself, sort of clearing the fog.
Yeah, and this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of raw foods, this bigger picture part of it. But I think to make it short-ish, I'll say I feel like raw food is like, you can compare it to cleaning your house. So if you have a house that is cluttered and dirty and unorganized, there's no sense of flow. It's really hard to function in that. You're just kind of trying to function. And if you clean your house and organize it and make it beautiful, it becomes a place where it's feng shui, what that's all about, where the life energy, who we really are, right, is this life energy, can actually flow. And in that clean environment, you start to feel clear yourself. You notice when your house is clean, how we feel clear. So many people, like, before I can study, I have to clean my house. It's really like clearing this space for ourselves and being able to sit in calmness. It's kind of, to me, like an external meditation. It's the same with our bodies. If we're able to, it's a very simple concept. Take out, whether we're talking about cleaning your house or cleaning your body, it's so simple. It's about removing what's not working and what's causing us pain and disease, and replacing that with life-sustaining forces and substances. Our bodies have an innate wisdom that is the healing force. And all we have to do really is get out of the way and stop doing the things that are getting in the way of that healing. I would think we have to use the tool of our intellect to remove what is impeding the flow and the wisdom of the body and the flow of life, which is, who we really are. And that then that becomes the guiding force in our lives, and our bodies then magically can heal because they're able to work like they were supposed to work. They're not trying to deal with all of this crap we're putting in it. And not only do our bodies heal, but in that space, we start to make decisions that come from a place of, being really connected to who we are. Excuse me, because we can feel that now. We don't have the brain fog, we don't have the aches and pains and those things that are taking up all of our energy during the day. And we're just like coffee, to even just function. And then we're coming from this place of calmness and stillness. When you do raw food, your body becomes calm and still, and you can hear your soul and your intuition. And then we become so connected that those questions naturally come up like they do in meditation, which kind of starts with who am I really? And what am I impacting by putting this in my mouth? And you start just looking at the impact that we're having on the bigger picture and making decisions in a way that works together. It's probiotic rather than antibiotic. We're really like taking out the things that are against life and adding in the things that allow us to be connected, not only physically within ourselves and with our inner voice, but with everything around us, the trees and the water and the animals and other people and other cultures. And then we start to live in this way that allows us to work together and create healing. And to me, that is how we heal the world. So it might just be an apple instead of a French fry, but it ends up healing the entire world if we really do it. And that's what's magical to me, really, underneath all of this.